Joining us now is Senator William Ligon, Republican from Brunswick, who ran this hearing. The evidence that came out yesterday, Senator, was unbelievable. I tell you what, you're going to get down, Senator. I know you don't like when I do this, but I tell the truth. You're going to go down in history, Senator, as one of the greatest patriots in the history of modern times, because that hearing yesterday is going to turn everything around. I thought it was that important, that dynamic, the way you ran it, the number of witnesses that came in, people getting fired because they come forward. It's unbelievable. Stacey Abrams' sister ruling on illegal votes, and then the software expert comes in and they hack into the Dominion machine live while you're on air. I mean, what in the world, Senator?
Well, I mean, it was certainly an eye-opening experience, and I want to place this a little context on everything. When you look at when you listen to some of the things that are being said, well, there's no evidence of fraud, but when you look at what the law says about what you have to show to really challenge elections, one of the grounds is if there's misconduct or an irregularity or a fraud on the part of an official, which places the results of the election in doubt. And we saw that in my opinion, there's ample evidence of that occurring in the state of Georgia to place this election in doubt and to send this this question to the legislature for determination as authorized and directed by the United States Constitution. Just for example, we had people from Coffee County in the southern part of Georgia, and they said that they couldn't get their results right, and they counted the votes 5 times, and they couldn't come up with a number, but yet they were told to certify the election. That's not right. Then they demonstrated that you could go in and actually manipulate the vote. And what we learned is when you have what's called an adjudication of an absentee ballot, that is, you can't determine the vote, you're trying to determine the intent because the machine won't read it, then the officials can go in and change that vote. Well, we learned yesterday that in Fulton County, out of 130,000 absentee ballots, that there were 106 adjudications where people had to come in and they had to try to determine voter intent. That is an astounding number. That number, you should only have 2 to 3% of those votes being adjudicated. This is over 80% of that happening.
Did you say 106,000?
106,000 adjudications.
Unbelievable. 106,000 votes where somebody had to determine voter intent.
Right.
With no scrutiny and no supervision.
That's
no lawyers there arguing, nothing. Just I'm a poll worker and I'm part of the machine, and I decide, this person intended to vote for Biden.
And then we had evidence of military votes, how they were counted. And when a military vote comes in, a worker has to actually read that vote, and then they enter that vote into a machine and create a new voter card that has supposedly has that voter's wishes on the card. But there's evidence that occurred without any supervision. I mean, there's enough here, to place the results in doubt, and I believe that the legislature should act.
Define act.
That's right. We should convene. We should consider all of this evidence to determine whether or not this election was a legitimate election, and if it was not a legitimate election, then we should make a decision on who the electors should be for the state of Georgia.
So
just look at the State Farm Arena video. That in and of itself,
unbelievable.
Listen, that in and of itself meets 2 criteria under the law. One, activity, irregular or misconduct on the part of the officials when they told the people the observers they were shutting down for the night. The observers leave, then they pull out ballots and start counting again for 2 hours without the eyes of the public being there. That's not right. and a sufficient number of ballots were counted to have changed the results of the election during that period of time.
So, Senator, we need action. Time is running out. I published last night on my Facebook page the 9 courageous senators that agreed to sign your petition where you need 50% plus 1. 26 did not sign it. I published them also. It took me a month to do that, Senator. I don't like publishing names, but I thought, I'm done with this. After I saw your hearing yesterday, I'm done. I mean, it's just like so huge now. There's no reason why you wouldn't do this. Do you have time to go back and try to get these 29 signatures? Because Brian Kemp is not going to call a special session. And you've got Jeff. And what about Jeff Duncan going on a conference call saying that Brian Kemp is it's illegal for him to call a special session? What is he talking about?
Well, if you're just talking in terms of Georgia law, then you'd have to have either the governor call it or 3/5 of the legislature to call it. But we're going under the United States Constitution that just said the legislature can call it, has the obligation, and that should be a simple majority. So I don't know what, I just don't agree with that position.
How do you get 29? Because if you get 29 senators to sign it, and then you go back to Ralston, who already promised the president he could deliver his 91, which, to be honest, was not an honest. He didn't have a upfront and honest conversation with the president based on what we've learned, right? So, or maybe change his mind. I'll give him the benefit of the doubt. But my question to you is, can you now, after this hearing on Wednesday, can you get 29 signatures on that petition?
Well, I don't know, and there's another petition going around. I've signed it, and hopefully others will, and members of the House will. And if we can collect the signatures, then we need to meet quickly and hear the evidence again and make determinations.
So you have a live petition for the 50% plus 1, Senator Ligon, going out now. Is that my understanding?
Well, there's a group of patriots. I think their organization is Angry Patriots, and they have prepared a petition that they're sending around to the different legislators and asking them to sign it. Okay,
so we need 29 signatures. To me, the Senate is the key because you're the ones that had the hard-hitting hearings, and so it's easier to get the 29 or the 35. Once you do that, then you have to go to, somebody's got to go to Ralston and say, okay, where's my 91? Because what allegedly he told President Trump on the phone is, well, if the Senate gets to 29, I can get to 91. Then he turned around and told everybody, don't vote for it, don't sign it, or bad things will happen. That's according to several legislators who told me that on the air or off the air on the record. And it was in GeorgiaStarNews.com. So I'm going to tell everybody today, go to my Facebook page, go to Facebook.com, John Fredericks Show, put it up there. All the names are there. The 9 who signed the first one, the 26 who didn't sign it. Call them up. If they're your senator, demand that they sign this petition, and don't let them weasel out by saying they need 3/5, because that's a complete and utter lie. Okay, it's just not true, and they hide behind it. So that's how you got to get action, and you got to get it now. And by the way, follow me when I'm there. Senator, what else can we do?
Well, you need to make calls to your legislators. I know that I hear that in Congress they're looking at more and more of the men and women up there looking at objecting to the election results. You could certainly call our senators and your congressmen and ask them to do that. And they're starting to look at this evidence as well. And I know that there's concern with some of the ones that I've spoken to. So I'd call them as well.
Well, that's the action. I mean, we have a couple of days. Do it now. I publish the names. A lot of people asked me to do it. Bill, when we met in Brunswick and you were live on my show for a couple hours, I told you I was reluctant to do that. I don't like doing it, but it is what it is. And I think, time is short now and there's too much at stake. And, either you signed it or you didn't. I mean, it's simple. So I'm going to open you up for take some callers here. Let's get to Carrie from South Carolina on line 1. Carrie, you're with John Fredericks and Senator Bill Ligon from Brunswick, Georgia.
Yes, just my thoughts on the Georgia election. I'm in South Carolina, and certainly our state carried for Trump our senator. Of course, our state in South Carolina went for Trump, and senators and Congress folks. My thoughts on Georgia is that I've been calling and encouraging Georgia to actually.
I think we're losing Carrie. Let's get to line 4, Patrick in Fort Lauderdale. Patrick, you're live.
Hey, John, how are you today? With all due respect to the senator, I appreciate what he's doing. He's got no power to change anything because everybody above him is willfully ignorant or in on this conspiracy. Whether Steve Bannon likes it or not, there is a conspiracy. I manage risk for a living. I don't see any way President Trump gets elected on January 20th by relying on somebody else. He's got to do something himself. There's a lot of we should, we could, we maybes. It's irrelevant. How does he get inaugurated on January 20th when no one is going to listen to him and every judge throws every case out of court?
Well, because as more evidence comes out, that gets tougher to do, Patrick. And that's why this hearing yesterday was so critical. And that's why I'm not giving up. And I still believe we've got enough time. The only hardwired date
I agree,
is
John.
January 20th.
I agree. But no one cares.
Well, yeah, they do.
They're just some of those buffoons yesterday on the who are the representatives asking Joven absolutely irrelevant questions to waste time are just the same kind of buffoons that that's all they do. They don't take action. They're stalling for time, and they're waiting for the clock to run out.
Okay, so Bill needs 29 signatures on his petition. He had a hearing yesterday. I thought the hearing was dynamite. You can't control what the Democratic senators try to do in order to protect the status quo and Biden. Okay, that's what they believe in. I'm not going to call them buffoons. That's what they happen to believe. That's fine. But you have action now. You need 29 signatures. We published the names. So complaining is over. I agree with that. I had a lot of people texting me and said, stop talking about the steal. What are we going to do? What's the action? Bill needs 29 signatures. If he gets those, you go to Ralston. Then he's stuck.
And Ralston will do nothing because he's already lied.
I don't think so. We got a second hearing. We can get the 29 signatures. Then it goes to Ralston. Now he has to have some other excuse. He's not going to be able to do it. We have enough time to put enough pressure on the speaker to get the 91. Then you call a special session. Then the evidence comes out, and they have to carry it nationally. That's where everything for Biden and the fraud and the steal starts to collapse. That's where the Supreme Court has to get involved. If you get the evidence out, everybody has to take notice, and that's what Senator Ligon and Beach and Dolezal and Burt Jones has been trying to do. So I understand your frustration, Patrick, but this thing is far from over. Yesterday, watershed day. We need 29 signatures. We get that?
It was awesome. I agree. It was awesome.
Thank you, Patrick. I'll let
Thanks, John.
the senator respond to that. By the way, Patrick, Happy New Year.
Sure.
Let's get the senator.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think that in regards to getting legislative action, if you have one chamber get the requisite votes, that will put pressure on the other, and you'll see movement. And it's just kind of like we've seen this nationally. If one state will take some action, I think it encourages others to. It creates more boldness and more leadership to take action and to address the problem that's at hand. So I agree with you. We just keep working. Working.
I've got a text question here from Maria in Atlanta. She says, how do our senators locate the petition to sign? Has it been sent to them? Do they have it?
Yes, I understand. Well, there are two. There's the one that we had, which called for an earlier convening date. The one now has been put out by Angry Patriots, and I understand that it's been sent to each legislator to their email, and you may need to have them ask them to check their legislative email in case they're not checking it at home. But they do have it, and they could read it. There's also a research paper that was with it that was sent to me as well. It explains exactly why the legislature has the authority to convene itself. and to take action on this limited federal question.
Unbelievable. Mike in Richmond texts in. He says, "Were the witnesses in the hearing yesterday under oath?"
No, they were not. We do not have. We're not in session. We cannot place witnesses under oath. But to address that, many of them submitted affidavits which backed up their testimony. And an affidavit is a sworn statement under oath. There's penalty of perjury for false signing. So,
I would think, Senator, that even the Democrats here, and that's why one of the Rasmussen polls came out, and 58% of people think there was fraud in this election. Even the Democrats should be concerned about this. I mean, they know Joe Biden didn't hide in his basement and get 80 million votes, right? So you have to be concerned about this. And, my whole thing on January 5th is it's going to happen again. I mean, it's happening now. What are we doing now to stop the same thing from happening in 5 days?
Well, I know that the Republican Party has more observers on the ground. My concern with that is that are they able to have a meaningful opportunity to observe and see what's going on? Because so many of our observers in this past election were kept at a distance so that you couldn't see how the vote was being counted or what the vote was, or you couldn't hear the counter say, well, this is for Trump or Biden, and you couldn't see what pile they're putting the ballot in when they're doing that audit. Mm-hmm. So we just need to get our people out to vote, and we need to flood the zone. We need to address this. It's all hands on deck. We need to fight in every avenue that we can for this election and for this country. That's all that I know to do right now.
Senator Ligon with us. Let's take one more phone call in this segment. Let's get to Jeanette in Georgia. Jeanette, you're live with Senator Ligon, line 2.
Hi.
Hi.
Hi. My name's Jeanette, and I'm from Savannah. I can't tell you.
Go ahead.
Yes, thank you. Yes, Senator. Senator, what I'd like to say is that there are a number of us here in Savannah who are very upset that Senator Watson and our representative Jesse Petraea have not signed on for this. And I have served on 2 different committees for the Republican clubs here in Savannah on the board. And we are going to put together a coalition to primary them and find excellent candidates if they do not stand up.
Well, I would just point out the law to them that it's not just fraud, it's a misconduct or an irregularity that can place the election in doubt. And then point them to the video of the State Farm Arena, where you have election officials directing the observers to leave. And we have affidavits from those observers stating that they were told that the counting was being stopped for the evening. And then in reliance on that, they left. And after they left, the officials go over and pull out ballots from under a table covered with a tablecloth and start counting enough votes again. And enough votes were counted during that period of time to have changed the election. That is an irregularity or a misconduct which places the election in doubt. And, just present that to them, ask them to take a position on them, and perhaps on that, and perhaps they will.
All right, Jeanette, thank you. All right,
thank you.
We got time for one more. We're going to squeeze one more caller in here, and we're going to get to line 2. And where's David from?
Houston County.
What city? Okay. Line 2, David from Houston County, Georgia. David, you're live with Senator William Ligon.
Good morning, John. How y'all doing today?
Great, sir.
Good morning.
Well, the State Farm deal, we seen that, 3 or 4 weeks ago?
Yes.
And, everybody's acting like it's new news yesterday. It's old news.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Mm-hmm. And really, that don't cut it with me. Mm-hmm. That's blatant theft in the way of election. But anyway, my main thing Senator, y'all say y'all have to get a simple majority to convene, correct?
Right, on this issue, yes. That is
Right.
that is my opinion. The opinion of some of us, yes.
Well, it looks like a lot of guys are not wanting to do it. What if y'all had an amendment to the state constitution or whatever, where the people could sign petitions in each district and demand that? I mean, that might be something for the future. I know it ain't gonna work now.
Well, that's really a good idea that should be thought through, where the people could demand.
Like I said, I know it's not going to help now, but if that's something y'all can amend or whatever for the future, that might get some fire under some people's rear ends, you know.
You're exactly right. And just to take it a step further, there are a lot of changes that need to be brought to the our election laws, and this process of voting by mail has been a disaster. I mean, people have sent me actual ballots that were sent to the address, to the place where they live, and the people that the ballot was sent to haven't been at that property for 20 years. And so it looks like this has happened all across the state. That's just inviting fraud, and we need to have some serious changes to the way we vote and secure the vote in the state of Georgia. And I'm hopeful that at least that'll happen. So
I agree with you there. I mean, this election, the November 3rd election, proves that the election laws in the state are a bunch of crap.
Yes.
And I hope we can do better moving forward. I mean, that'd be great.
David,
but
I want to thank you,
getting the
David.
legislatures.
Go ahead, David.
Okay, John, have a good one, buddy. Have a good New Year.
David, thank you. Happy New Year. We're out of time for this segment. I want to thank Senator Bill Ligon. Senator, thanks for all you do. I'm telling you, you're going to go down in history as one of the great patriots ever, because these two hearings you had, and especially the one yesterday, is going to turn everything. And I want to thank you for that, Senator. Thank you.
Well, thank you, John. Very kind. Thank you for having me on your show.